race is going to come up in this election, even though it's already been litigated and the guy's already president. We're going to be talking about race. We're going to be talking about religion.
Now, I'm waiting for them to say that this ticket, the Republican ticket, is two middle-aged white guys, as opposed to Kerry Edwards, Clinton Gore, Carter Mondale, Kennedy Johnson. Are they going to really try to make this about two white guys when how many Democrat tickets until this one, or Geraldine Ferraro, were two middle-aged white guys?
Let's not forget, Paul Ryan's also a minority. I don't know if you know this, but Catholics are a minority in this country.
I thought you said 8% body fat.
We haven't had many of them in the White House.
But looking at Joe Biden's statement, the White House is standing by it. And when I look at this, I remember back in 2008, you said some of Joe Biden's, previous best hits. He had a very strange remark about Indians and 7-Eleven and dialects, and he, on the day that he launched his campaign, was quoted as calling Barack Obama clean, bright, and articulate. So yes, he does have this history. At the time, I wondered if the Obama campaign didn't choose him in part because of it, because of the Bubba factor, the relatable factor, that Obama was having a very difficult time with the white working class vote, and Biden was seen as he's that kind of guy that can appeal to those voters.
It's impossible for me to peek behind the curtains to see the Machiavellian strategies that might be in play. Honestly, I have no idea, and I tend to agree with SC. I tend to agree with SC that this comes off as unscripted. I don't think this was some sanction from on high. Well, that's actually what
Joe's mind.
That's actually what I want to explore. So I do think it's spontaneous. I do think it's unscripted, and it's quite obvious that none of us need to debate the fact that there is a double standard. Had a conservative said anything within a football field's distance of something similar to this, he would be run out of any potential elected office. Here's the question I have that I think is interesting. Why? Why is there a double standard? What has Joe Biden done to earn that long leash of room that a conservative doesn't? Is it the crazy Joe thing?
Or the Democratic Party when he was 25 years old?
Is that it? Is it simply the fact he's a Democrat?
No, I was talking about this earlier, and someone said it's because he can say, my best friend is black. It's because he can say, I've got the big guy
that didn't work for Joel
behind me. I mean, that's one theory. I think it's because
that's an interesting theory.
Joe Biden. It's because he's a Democrat, and it's because he's got a black president as his boss. I mean, I think all of those factors give him this leash.
There's the racial side of the issue, which I think you're hitting on there. And there's also just the fact that if he were conservative, I mean, now when people think of Dan Quayle, they think vice president. And a lot of people think stupid because there was such a campaign to convince America that he was so dumb. If Biden were a conservative, if he were a Republican, it would not be the cuddly uncle up in the attic with the crazy hair coming out of the ears. It would be, this guy is a moron. This guy speaks in ways that are offensive to people. He's a racist. I cannot. And so to see that is interesting. But I think, Amy, you laid this out at the very beginning. I think that he is useful in that regard because I think that he can sort of walk up and close to the lines, and if he gets a hit, if he says something that has resonance with people, that hurts the Republicans, great. If he goes too far in one direction and says something that's, like he did today, clearly stupid and he should not have said, he's Uncle Joe. So it's almost like he walks around with this cloak of invulnerability.
Let me just ask again about this double standard. So the fact that he's a Democrat, if it's just that simple, and you might be right, but if it is, it validates all the assumptions that if you're a conservative, it's highly suspicious, and you just might be a racist. And if you're a Democrat, it's impossible for you to be a racist.
Right.
But the crazy Joe thing, that I have no filter, I shoot from the hip, is there a conservative version of that could get away with this? Can you come up with...
No.
I was just going to say Newt Gingrich.
I don't think he gets away with it.
No, he doesn't.
George Bush was a shoot from the hip guy, and he was maligned around the world for that. He's a cowboy, doesn't think before
I
he
want
was
to get
crazy.
within this 100-yard A-dog, our home slice. There I am. I'm in the 100-yard line right there. I called her A-dog.
I didn't know who you were talking about.
I don't know any of those words.
Well, whenever I speak to a black audience, I always take on a falsetto accent.
I see.
The reason why he gets away with it, and if we all took journalism courses, there's three parts to a message. There's the sender, the medium, and the receiver. It used to be when we judged the message, we judged what the message was. Now we judge the sender, his intent. And we're free to fill in the blank on his intent. So if I say something offensive to you, it's not whether I said something offensive or I even intended to offend you. It's whether you are offended. And if you are offended, they'll say, well, this group is offended. That group is offended. If they're not offended, in the case of the NAACP Alan Westhead, the NAACP said it wasn't racist. Well, therefore it wasn't.
Right, and this audience loved it.
Even though it is clearly racist imagery, in political correctness, especially in Democrat and progressive circles, if there's this sort of sign-off like, this is not offensive because we said so, well, then it isn't, and you're not judged by the standards. No matter what you say as a conservative, if it is signed off as racist, offensive, sexist, whatever, then it is no matter what you said.
So